There we go.
All right. Do you have access to it, T?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
There we go. We're live.
All right,
Let me watch my advertisement.
Oh my God! Okay,
Yeah,
it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
put that right in the middle.
I love Young Khan.
Khan is great.
His stuff just, first of all, that Pikachu was amazing. Second of all, he's just, it's so relaxing.
One of the most zen people you will ever meet.
Oh my God.
If you want to talk about literally philosophy for 6 hours, he will talk about philosophy for 6 hours.
I got no problem with that, though.
That's gonna pull a book off his shelf behind him, dude. I don't know how many times I've done that, dude. He's very enlightened. He's one of the nicest dudes ever. He's done stuff for us for forever, and he keeps a place for us, like an open, like floating schedule for us. If we need something, he just kind of fits us in with the mental health kits. The logo for that, he made that for us on the whim. That was great. Hey, 10.
10!
Okay, we are going to go live. Actually, There's our Patreon right there. Awesome. All right. Hello. All right. No
Hello,
questions. Everything. We're going to get rolling. That way none of us turn into pumpkins or anything. And the way we usually do this, we're already recording. I'll cut it. We'll do a clap, so I'll mark it for when I edit. You're a veteran for podcasting. I know. You guys do it. You guys make us look bad. You're so professional when you do it. So, unfortunately,
I have this book that I read. It's called Podcasting for Dummies. I keep it within reach, just in case, I start to hiccup.
Well, no way that exists. That's not.
That's not real.
God, I got that so much during the weekend at TwitchCon. It wasn't even funny.
He's literally holding the book, and they're like,
no. The funniest one, real quick. Funniest one was when I showed it to the people from Twitch, and they looked at it and they were like, "This is a gag book, right? You printed this up just for this event, right?"
I can't.
And I went, guys, it's on the bookshelves. It's been on the bookshelves since January. And they all looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I'm like, wow, guys, you need to get out.
You need something. There a lot, dude. You'd be surprised how many times they just kind of don't get out. And like, dude, I love the Discord book. You know how many people
thanks.
that I think that really will benefit, because how many times
Just say my name, Joe. Just say
Matt has questioned so many things about Discord.
Everything.
And I've had to take him by the hand
So
and
is
walk
Nate,
him.
though.
No, it's just fantastic. And it's definitely a resource that has been needed. And the same thing with Twitch, because these are platforms, and we'll get into this later,
Sure.
but these are platforms that are growing, and millions of people, and it's getting ready to cross 1 billion people are involved in these platforms that don't really know quite well what they're doing. And it's a different language when you start getting into, like, I want to stream, and then you start getting into the menus, and I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, like, where's my stream key in this, and like, I don't know how to switch. A book that can help guide somebody to those answers and get them up and going, 100%.
Thank you.
I am all for guiding people to meaningful resources and just educating people, and that is 100% awesome. I hope Discord applauded you for it and assisted you a bit.
Unfortunately, well, it's a couple of things. One, folks at I reached out to the folks at Discord, but I never got a chance to really get a correspondence with them, because they the folks at Wiley, the For Dummies people, they were ramping up. They said to me, "Can you have the book done early?" And I said, "How early are we talking about?" And they wanted it a month early, which means and when I'm already working kind of put in perspective, you're given 4 months to write a dummies book from beginning to end, just to write it.
Ooh.
And then you have a month to edit it, proof it, and then you're out. And they took a month away from that. Now, granted, they paid for it. I didn't do it for free. Oh no. I knew the stress level that was involved. Twitch, I started a correspondence with them, and then they just dropped off. And I think the biggest problem that I have with the Twitch for Dummies book is that people think it's a. I've caught some flack on Twitter and on Twitch about it being a get rich quick book. And I'm like, that's not this book, guys. That's
Clearly
not
they
this
haven't opened it. You know what I mean?
No, they haven't. I'm like, you skip the section that's called "Don't Quit Your Day Job." That's there's that section in there. So yeah.
I went through both the books, dude, and yeah, it's definitely not a get rich. It's a how-to and a guide to get somebody up and going and educate them on that platform. What are you looking at? How to do what you want to do. You know, this is how you do this and that. And you touch on so many different aspects. You know, I'm glad that alert went off because we're going into the podcast without me doing an opening.
I was gonna say
Matt's over
okay.
here laughing at me.
No,
something.
we weren't laughing at you. You're
laughing near us.
No. Nate just made the greatest joke. It's not appropriate, but he just made the greatest joke.
You'd have to be in chat.
Oh, it's down below.
All right. Marker?
That's a joke. Did you delete it?
No,
it's still up there.
Oh, I don't see it.
Wasn't it? It's just timely. It's dad jokeness.
Okay, I love dad jokes. I'm a dad. Okay, we're going to do this. We'll get going and we'll jump right into it. So I'm going to butcher this opening. Hope you don't, I apologize ahead. But we're going to do a quick clap. We'll go into the intro and then we'll introduce you. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, we're already recording and everything, so we're good to go. So live chat, thank you so much for being with us for our live recording. We love doing this with you every time we have the podcast, and this is the first time I'm doing the intro, so be gentle, please. Okay, so I'm going to count it off. 3, 2, 1, clap, and then I'll go in. Okay? Okay. Let me give my mic a little more. Okay. me. Fast hands. Jazz hands. Okay, spirit fingers. 3, 2, 1, clap. Hello, and thank you for joining us once again for Guardians MH Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Joe. With me tonight is Nate.
Hi.
And Matt.
Hey.
If you're just joining us for the first time, Guardians MH is a 501c3 nonprofit focused on promoting mental health awareness throughout the gaming community and with being a first step assisting individuals with gathering meaningful resources in a safe and inclusive atmosphere. Our podcast is another way to normalize talking about mental health and is a fusion of mental health topics and gaming. The information presented in this podcast is of the general nature and is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. While many of the people here have some form of mental health training, they are not your mental health professional. This podcast is not a replacement for mental or physical care or for the diagnosis of any mental health illness or condition. Please welcome our guest tonight, TeeMonster. T, how you doing?
Doing good. It's been a day. It's been a day, as I was saying earlier. It's been a long day of streaming, but I'm here and I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks, guys.
Oh, we're so glad to finally get you on with us. And dude, it has been a day. It has. And you know what? When you first came in, you're like, just letting you guys know, this is number 4. it blew my socks off, and it's like, oh my gosh, I couldn't. But thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. We really appreciate it, and big fans of everything you do. Your writing, your streaming, just what you do for the communities. Thank you so much.
No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, and today was a good day. It started with a very intense gaming session with The Last of Us Part 2. I'm still working through that. No spoilers. I figure the reason why I'm taking so long with that game is because I don't leave an area without making sure I've thoroughly looted it. Because
Ooh.
I started this session with like 2 bullets and a dream, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be rough. And so I try to loot anywhere and everywhere I can. And then but the entire day we being me and my wife, we've been working on we did an impromptu charity stream for No Kid Hungry. I'm a stream ambassador for them, and they are great people to work with. They've been very good with streamers. They've got a fantastic program for streamers, and they're trying to do what St. Jude has got down to a system, and they're making the right steps. And so I can't say a bad thing about No Kid Hungry. They're great people to work with.
No, they absolutely are. I noticed. Actually, I think you announced it. I saw it yesterday. You announced you were streaming for No Kid Hungry organization, and I looked into them a little bit, and I have to admit they're an amazing organization, and fully 100% support them. And I'm a big softie, and dude, anything for kids, man. I mean, yeah. I work for Frito-Lay. That's my day job.
Mm-hmm.
And this is honest to God, and it's not to do this or that, but it is just a little side tangent. I order 2 cases from our distribution center of snack packs, 18 count bags, and they're in my vehicle at all times. And when I go into downtown kind of poverty areas, low income, and I always have chips for the kids. So right. I will see a parent with 4 kids, and I'll give them a snack pack. You kids, do they want a snack? So my vehicle doesn't get robbed. I'll leave 2 of them outside my vehicle.
Right.
And they'll grab those, and then, that way they don't go into the truck or anything like that. That actually does happen sometimes. I keep a rack right by the door, and you can see it, and there's bags right there. It's just too enticing. But no, I always give, kids always come first, man. Anything for kids, and it's a great organization. So really support that any way we can for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I will probably be doing a bigger charity stream with proper promotion probably in October. This was just sort of an impromptu thing because my wife and I have been planning for the past week to do a wing off. We were gonna take a recipe from Danny Trejo's cookbook and the chicken wing recipe from Snoop Dogg's cookbook, and we were gonna put them head to head and see which one was better. And as we're finalizing it, my wife, who rarely does this type of stream, usually I'm the only one doing Twitch Dad cooking streams. She said, I reached over to her and I said, "Do you think we should make this a charity stream?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So we just kind of threw caution to the wind, and with 10 minutes planning, boom, we had a charity stream. And I'm like, okay, well, anything we make, it's gravy. It's gravy. So no big deal. And that's been my Friday in a nutshell. And I've got I'm doing my podcasting on Sunday, so that's also going to be a very, very big day. And if weather holds out, I'll be doing something called Fireside Lore on my stream, and that's where I basically build a fire in the fire pit, and then I go out with
I did this idea already.
Oh, you didn't know I did this? Yeah. So with
did anyone else notice me and Joe's head cock as soon as we heard this? Like, oh,
okay. So this was something I just threw the dice and said, let's see, because I was trying to come up with neat ideas to do the channel points with. And I said, okay, how about this? For 10,000 channel points, if you redeem 10,000 channel points on my channel, I will read one piece of Destiny lore. I'll read it by the fire pit, and it'll be you, me, a fire going, and I'll just tell Destiny lore by the fire. And the first time I did it, I had to do it for like about 2.5 hours because I had like 20 pieces of lore redeemed. And I said, okay, I'm going to break it up, but I'll do 10 pieces of lore a night. And the first time I did it, my wife, who's from New Zealand and also has a storytelling theatrical background as well, she said, do you mind if I tell some pieces of lore? And pretty soon people were like, yeah, T, that was very nice that you read some lore. Could you let your wife talk now? And because, she's got the accent and all that. And so now that's one of the things that I do as channel points is I do fireside lore, and people love it. It's me, a glass of scotch. My wife is there. She might have a drink. And if my daughter is out there with it, if our daughter is out there with us, she'll be making s'mores. And it's just, it's really turned out to be a really fun thing to do. But it's all weather permitting. But yeah, I think if the weather holds out, Sunday night, I'm going to do a fireside lore at 9 p.m. And I think we're going to concentrate on some of the lore from Savathun, since we've been doing all the different contact missions and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's a cool idea.
It's been fun. I'm look, the thing is that this is what I tell people. I'm no Bife, but I do know how to tell a story by the fire pit. I've got the theater chops. I can do that by the fire pit. And it's been fun. And I actually had some people say to me, I love it when you do fireside lore, because especially now with what's been going on with COVID-19 and with the pandemic, because they feel like it's coming around a fire, and just hearing somebody tell ghost stories or just something, it's just comforting. And that's the whole aim of fireside lore. One, because nobody's doing it and they should, and two, it's just so that we can all feel like we're coming around a fire and just getting some communal time. I've lost count how many hours I've clocked by the fire pit with friends.
Took the words right out of my mouth. That's one of the greatest things I love doing. I have a fire pit in my backyard, and that's usually our gathering point, is everybody just comes. But I only because I have this debate with my wife and others. How do you build the fire? Do you go TP or do you go box?
So originally I was, originally,
ton of lighter fluid in. Let's see what happens.
Oh, that's a fire. I mean, I originally was a box guy until my my buddy from the military, a good friend of mine from the military, did the whole TP thing. And I'm like, seriously? And then I saw it, and I saw it work, and I'm like, oh, okay. So from that point on, I've always gone TP, and it works for me. I just know that, but I know that if it's gonna happen, I'm gonna also have to do some fire pit maintenance, because I've had quite a few fireside lores, and I got a lot of ash in the fire pit. And I'm like, yeah, that's got to go. That's got to go.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Fire pits are just so much fun.
Unreal.
I'm a box guy. I can't do TP. Me and my wife have fights about this every time we do it. And
I will say this though, I am a starter log guy too.
Okay. No, I have like the little like kindling things that you can just put around.
Yeah, see, those haven't worked for me in the past, but I've got these new ones that are like little fire starter cubes.
Yeah.
They're like they're like the bridge between the kindling and the starter log.
Welcome to Fire Pit Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
Might be onto something.
Yeah, unfortunately, my fire pit's too shallow. I can never do a TP, so I always have to do box. But I found one small little hack on accident. I was having a bear of a time getting my fire to light, so I took the citronella tiki torch fluid and soaked one of the logs, lit that puppy up. Not only did it burned clean, and it kept all the mosquitoes away.
There you go.
Beautiful thing.
That's the ultimate MacGyver right there.
What a life hack that is right there.
You want another life hack?
Take notes, everybody.
Can I write that? Let me write that down real quick, because I got a horrible mosquito problem in my backyard.
Actually, I saw some gadget I'm going to send you later that has to do with mosquitoes. You're going to love it. No, I lost my train of thought for a second.
Of course we did. This is Guardians MH podcast.
Speaking of fires and like little fire hacks and this and that, one thing that I learned for hunting, and I carry in my pack all the time, is a chunk of steel wool. like thin fibered
I
steel
know where
wool.
you're going.
Have you ever tried to
Oh,
light that
yes.
on fire?
Yep.
It
Yep.
lights right up, and
Yep.
in an emergency, steel wool will make a fire for you, and it's a
Best
great
so,
thing to
some
have.
of some of the best hacks for hunting, camping, or any kind of fire starting things. Bear Grylls, my boy Bear.
Oh,
He'll be like, "This is how you light a fire," and I'm like, "Okay,
record. Go on.
Yeah, go on."
Teach me, Mr. Grills. Teach me your ways.
Now we're going to drink one another's pee. Let's go.
Yeah.
And stop recording.
You know what? This is going to be a terrible reference, but after you said that, have you ever seen the movie This Is the End? The Seth Rogen
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah.
He's like,
Oh, yes.
I drank my whole pee this morning. It wasn't bad. And he's got a martini glass.
There's the
I'm
other
gonna
one.
Edit that. No.
Then never mind. I won't do mine. Because there's the dodgeball one too. If anybody's seen dodgeball,
I have.
I haven't seen it all the way through.
Sterile, and I like
Yes.
the taste.
Oh, dear
Cut,
God.
drink,
oh,
pee.
where did we go?
We
How did this happen?
just. That's where we went. Okay. No. Let's get back on track. Oh,
There's
boy.
a track
Well,
to this.
You know,
Fantastic.
T, it's great
There's a
having you, and it's already been a lot of fun so far. But for the people that are listening right now that might not know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure thing. So I'm a communications professional, and that's the way that's my day job. I do communications plans for people. I do everything from social media to social media strategy to communication strategy. You name it, I do it. And I'm also an audio video professional as well. Along with that, I'm a writer. I'm a writer of science fiction and fantasy, both by myself and with my wife Pip Valentine, who if you're ever tuning into my streams, she sometimes streams with me, and that's when shenanigans occur. Like right now, on Friday nights, instead of her coming into my office and heckling me while I play video games, I hand her the controller, and we stream this thing called Flip Us Freely Friday, where she takes the controller and I get to heckle her. And sometimes it's gotten tense. Sometimes it's been ridiculously fun. Most of the time, it's been ridiculously fun. But along with the science fiction that my wife and I are known for, which is a steampunk series
I love that.
called the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences, I am also known for writing dummies books. And also, I've also written books on social media. In fact, my wife and I this past week, we released Social Media for Writers, the second edition, and this is a comprehensive look at social media for writers. But really, it could be for anyone with a creative endeavor, whether you are a graphic designer, whether you are an artist. This is a strategy for as many platforms as we could think of, and in second edition, we had a chapter on streaming, and we had a chapter that I think was really important. We had a chapter on crisis management, because when writers hiccup on social media, they usually go big. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to offer something a little more in depth than we did in the first edition. And then there are the dummies books. I've written with Chuck Tomasi, Podcasting for Dummies, and on my own, I have written Discord for Dummies, which came out earlier this year. And I saved it for last because I wanted to say officially on the podcast, yes, the book is real. Twitch for Dummies. I am the guy that wrote Twitch for Dummies. I did not write Destiny for Dummies. Do not ask me for Destiny advice. I'm not that guy. But when it comes to streaming, yes, I can help you with that. So those are and the way I look at Podcasting for Dummies, which is about to release its fourth edition in October.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty stoked about that. As a matter of fact, again, in Podcasting for Dummies, we finally said we need to do an entire chapter on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big addition. We really dug deep for that one because we now realize that podcasting has evolved, and now streaming is a part of that. It's a major part of that. So, so that's coming in October. But with Podcasting for Dummies, Discord for Dummies, and Twitch for Dummies, that I tell people that's the trifecta. If you want to get into content creation, those three books will help you out. They are not going to make you Dr. Lupo overnight, but they will give you what you need to do this. And at one time I was very hesitant to even talk about my about podcasting for dummies, but after they signed me on to do Discord, I'm like I really like working for these people, and they're just good people to work with, very good people to work with, and that's what I do. If I'm not streaming, I'm writing, and if I'm streaming, I'm not writing. So I've got to make sure that I balance the time between the two.
That's kind of funny that you brought that up there. Like when I think about it, of the 55 podcasts that I listen to on a weekly basis, 5 don't
Brag.
have a streaming component.
Yeah. Yeah, and I should also mention too that I also, not only have I written podcasting for dummies, I podcast. I podcast with my wife. We do a writers podcast called The Shared Desk, and then I get together with, as Joe knows, I get together with Nick Kelly and Brandon Kelly, and we do Happy Hour from the Tower, which is our Destiny podcast. And as I tell people, it's the three just they're.
We lost that last bit.
Oh, I'll do it again. So, and then I get together with Nick Kelly and Brandon Kelly, and we do a Destiny podcast called Happy Hour from the Tower. And as I like to tell people, in a nutshell, it's 3 knuckleheads who love this game, and we get together and we celebrate our love of the game of Destiny. Joe knows very well because he's been on the show before. He got to meet Saint 14 up close and personal, especially when we talked about the nuclear vessels in Alameda.
God, I was hoping you were gonna do that too, because that was like literally in the back of my mind. I was thinking about it.
Comrade Joe, that is what we call him on show. We call him on show, and I want to say to Comrade Joe, I wish I could have seen Montana.
I love it. And I'll tell you what, I think it was 2 years ago for PAX East, Nick sent me a bunch of flyers, postcard flyers for Happy Hour at the Tower. He sent me something in the mail, and he goes, "Hey, you're going. I sent you a bunch of extra if you want to hand them out." Dude, I handed them out to everybody. Yep. I handed them everywhere out there. It was just so much fun, and I love Happy Hour at the Tower. And you and Nick and Brandon, everybody's just so great. I mean, it's such a wonderful time.
We just have that's what we shoot for. We shoot for just having fun on the podcast.
Now, I do want to ask. I want to go back to your writing. I am a huge fan of steampunk, like not like mega, but I am a big fan of the steampunk genre of video games, like BioShock. That was my first introduction into steampunk, was with BioShock. And after that, I kind of started rabbit holing a little bit. But you also cosplay in steampunk too. I've seen pictures of you in steampunk. But what interested you? Was that one of your first writing ventures? Was in steampunk?
Actually, no. My first writing venture. I mean, I've been writing science fiction since I was a kid. I mean, I was. I like to tell people I was an early adopter, because when I saw Star Wars for the first time in the theaters, I'm old. I remember when Star Wars wasn't Episode 4; it was just Star Wars, and you know when I saw that had a profound effect on me. But when it comes to the writing aspect of it, I think I really and it was steampunk before steampunk was even a thing. But around the same time as Star Wars, another came out about a year, and it completely changed the way I looked at science fiction. And I thought, oh, you can do this with science fiction. And it was a movie called Time After Time. And if you don't know this movie, look it up. It was the very first movie ever done by Nicholas Meyer. Nicholas Meyer is the guy who directed Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. But this was his first film. And in it, H.G. Wells finds out that his best friend is Jack the Ripper. And H.G. Wells in this movie actually builds a time machine, and Jack the Ripper uses it to go into the future of 1978. And so H.G. Wells chases Jack the Ripper in modern day San Francisco. And it blew my mind as a kid. I saw this movie in the theater and I was just like, wow. And then I started writing my own stories, and I started dabbling in science fiction, and that was what got me going. But time after time had a profound effect, and I always wanted to write something like that. And while I've written epic fantasy and I've written comedic fantasy mystery, and I've done different things, steampunk is where I feel the happiest. Uh, because you can do what you can do with like in films like Time After Time, in games like BioShock. Um, and nothing and since we're talking about video games and steampunk, I feel like steampunk is still struggling to find a place in gaming, with the exception of BioShock. There have been so many near hits, but they've always been near misses. In particular, the Order 1886. That could have been a fantastic experience, but man, did they F it up, both in the writing and in the game mechanics. To quote Nick Kelly from Happy Hour, he said, I was getting so frustrated with the game mechanics, I wanted to throw my controller at the screen, and I wasn't even playing. I was watching you on stream. And I was like, what?
I went across the room, picked up my remote. My console wasn't even on. And I threw it across the room. I was so
He was
upset.
ready to do that. He told me he was ready to do
Nick.
that.
I
Yeah,
really
do.
Nick's a riot.
Now,
Nick's a riot.
would you say Dishonored is a steampunk game? I mean,
Yes.
it's got those elements.
I've seen it. I've seen it only in screen caps, and yes, I would say Dishonored has that. Monster Hunter World plays around with that only from an aesthetic point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But BioShock just knocked it out of the park, and I loved every time that would come play. I'm just like I absolutely adored that. And then there's even a little bit of aesthetic steampunk. You see it in Borderlands. So there's
Yeah.
there are a lot of different properties that play around with it, but we still haven't had that breakout property apart from BioShock. And I'd really like to see. I've been hearing the whispers about they may be coming out with a new BioShock, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, bring it, baby, bring it.
Oh yeah.
But I would love to see something like that. I would love to see a fresh, the Order 18, to go back to it. The Order 1886 had such potential. It had such potential, and it suddenly became, let's throw this at the wall and see if it sticks. And had they had, and maybe I'm biased about this because I write steampunk professionally, but had they had better writers on staff, I think at one point somebody would have said, this is too much. We need to scale it back. We need to focus on what we're doing in this storyline. And that's been my cardinal rule as a writer. If I would never write something just for the sake of it being cool. I'm going to write something because it has something important to do with the story that we're telling. And if it doesn't have a place in the story, it's out. And you can ask my wife. Sometimes I've been brutal as our editor before we submit to the publisher, but you have to do that.
I think.
So,
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, kind of on that line, like, what is your own personal writing process? How do you? I don't know if that's a stupid question to ask
No.
or not, but
No. It's not.
How do you get in that mindset? I guess.
As a matter of fact, this is what I tell folks, Matt, when they ask me a question. To me, there's no such thing as a stupid question. To me, it's dumber if you don't ask it.
You haven't hung out with me long enough, but that's fine.
No. I used to also teach professionally to tocorporations and places like that about how to work InDesign, how to work Photoshop. So I told my students the same thing. If you don't ask me a question and you have an opportunity, then that's a lost opportunity. So I would rather whatever. And the other thing is that most people who think that that's a stupid question, chances are authors, actors, whatever, they're dying for somebody to ask them. And in my case, yes, the way it works is there are two philosophies. There are plotters and there are pantsers. Plotters are the ones who have the notebooks that have detailed out like what the character had for breakfast, what the character wears, what the character that type of. And I've seen people with their story bibles, and they're thicker than the actual book they're writing.
Mm.
Then you got pantsers. That's me, and it's where I go, okay, I got an idea, got a kernel of an idea. Okay, chapter 1, and I just start writing. And
Okay.
and while I have a vague idea of where I want to go, I'm like, okay, let me go in this direction. Let me try this direction. And it sometimes takes a little longer to get to the end, but by the time I get to the end, I've got a lot of material to work with. And there are some people that claim that plotting is the way to go. Some people claim that pantsing is the way to go. And there's pros and cons to both. But I always tell myself at the end, I know where I want to get to. And the idea is to make sure that you stay in control of the story, not the story controlling you. A good example is what we all saw happening during Game of Thrones. I really believe, and I'm going to go on record for saying this, I don't think we're ever going to get that final novel, because I think George let the story get away from him. That is one
Think so?
author's. I know so. I know so, especially with the way Weiss and Benioff finished the series. I'm like, really, guys? That's based on the notes. Are you kidding me? I really think he let the story get away from him.
I think they paid him a lot of like sweaty money, and he gave him what he had, and he saw how people reacted to it, and was like, that's not how the book ends. Don't hate it yet.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, at this point, the thing is, he's got no motivation to finish it, because in all fairness, we already got an ending.
Yeah.
And anything that happens after this, it's fanfic. I mean, I hate to be blunt, but I'm like, dude, you needed to put the pedal to the metal, because even J.K. Rowling said, oh crap, they've caught up to me in the movies. I'd better finish this now. And she hunkered down and finished those books. And you just got to be and that's hard. It's really hard. I mean, when Pip and I were working on the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences, it's a 6-book series, at least for the character arcs of Books and Brawn, and in that 6-part series, we had to make sure that all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed, especially at the end. We could have ended it at book 4, but we know we had 2 more books in this. And we said, okay, well, where are we taking it in this direction? How is this going to play into the final? And and we were talking about the last book while we were working on the 4th book. And that's one way of staying in control. Now we're still pantsing away. But just because you pants, just because you're just writing as you go, it does not necessarily mean that you are not working without a plan. You have some kind of plan that's going to get you from point A to point B, from beginning to end. And that is and that's why I'm gonna say this about what George created. It's epic, but it's hard to keep all of that together. So my heart goes out, because I'm like you created this incredible world, but you really need to stay on top of it.
Yeah, and he did let it get away from him, but he could still finish it. I know he's leading everybody on.
He could.
He's leading everyone on, like, it's coming. It could be the end of the year, it could be the start of next year. I've had a lot of time because of COVID, and
he's had a lot of time, period.
But when you mentioned it's fan fiction now, it made me think of Walking Dead, that series, how it went the opposite, where you started with the comics, and then actually it kind of was the same thing, where it started with the comics and then they tried to be its own thing, and then went back to the source, and then surpassed the comics.
This is a bad topic to go down.
Well, no. Okay. Well, then how about this? How about this? I'll see your Walking Dead.
Okay.
And I'll raise you with Watchmen. We have the canon of Watchmen, and then you've got the Zack Snyder film, which was very loyal to an extent. It was very loyal to the original source material. But then when you look at that Watchmen HBO series, sweet crap on a cracker, in my opinion, that's canon. Because it was so tightly written, and it was even more true when I still remember when they did the creature that basically destroyed Manhattan, the psychic creature that destroyed Manhattan. I turned to Pip and I'm like, my God, they did it. They did it. Because I didn't think they would. They actually went there, and I was so impressed with Watchmen as a series. I think it makes a better series than it did a
feature
movie.
film. Yeah, and you're seeing that a lot more these days.
Yes, you are. Yes,
There's
you are.
some great series, like things that originally were conceived as a full feature film are going, you know what? There's too much here. We need to do a series. And the series are becoming more popularized than the actual films. And it's because it allows them that time to not force it, and just jump over everything. Because that's one of the biggest complaints that I see in cinema is when you have a written source that they're going from, which is 85% of all cinema is, started, it seems to have started from a book. I mean, it has, quick side tangent, Last of Us. No, not Last of Us. I Am Legend.
Okay.
That was based off a book back in the 70s that took place in California, not in New York City. And they took certain aspects of it and put it into that and then made their own thing. But that's one of the points I'm trying to make is when people watch the movie, especially Harry Potter, I don't know how many times I freaking heard that, or Twilight, that didn't happen in the book that way. They didn't do that. But they're trying to get it out there. It's like, we need to condense this. That way we can get it out.
Probably the best quote about that. And again, this is where I kind of divert from some of my fellow writers. A lot of people say there's a style that you write for the film, and there's a way that you write for book. And I just go, look, writing is writing is writing. You can read a bad book. If you go to a movie and it's an unpleasant experience, 9 times out of 10 you can point right at the source, at the script, and go, this was a turd burger from the beginning.
Yep.
But I remember the words of Peter Jackson. He wanted to be so accurate with the original trilogy, with the original Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
And about halfway through Two Towers, he said, I have to relax, stop and just concentrate on making a good movie. And that's where you have to decide what stays and what goes. Yeah, when you're doing a series, you have a little more leeway, but the rules still stay the same. You have to you have to write for the medium, and some things are going to get in, some things aren't.
I think from from a consumer standpoint, like myself, I'm a Walking Dead fanboy.
Right.
I love the comics. I think are amazing. I absolutely adore Kirkman. Everything he's done, even Walking Dead, Oblivion Song, Outcast, love all of it. I cannot watch the Walking Dead TV show.
Right.
I can't.
I stopped.
Well, I never even started because I tried. My wife loved it, and I tried. But it's bad when I'm reading the comic book and the scene where Negan obliterates Glenn. In the comic, I'm like, oh, crap. And I'm like into it. If I'm sitting on the couch and I am laughing when it happens, I'm just like, nah, you killed this.
Did we just become best friends?
Even though they took it, I couldn't.
Right. That had so much hype behind it. That brought so many new viewers in because it was such a dramatic scene coming up.
And I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan played a fantastic Negan. I think he did great. It's just me as the fanboy. I I think too high of an expectation, because me personally, I am basing it off the comic book,
Same.
and nothing is going to beat the comic book. It's the same thing with Harry Potter, and I think I said it on the podcast with Dr. Scarlet and Mrs. Dr. Lupo. I I- we I I didn't like the movies because the books were so fantastic.
And I was just the opposite. I
Okay.
consider myself a huge Harry Potter fan, and there were only two films that I really took issue with. Um, the third film was a train wreck. The third film was an absolute train wreck. And it was, and
Hot
that was one,
takes.
and that was one, and to me, that was one of the best books in this. That was one of the best books in the series, which was this, The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Prisoner of Azkaban, absolutely.
Wow,
it was the
Alphonse Cuarón was directing that. Come on, it was. I mean, it's Rian Johnson. It's Rian Johnson directing a Star Wars film. He had no Alphonse Cuarón had no business doing a Harry Potter film. Period. The other one that I took the other one that I actually felt was better than the book was the sixth Harry Potter film, which was the
First Deadly Hollow.
No, Half-Blood Prince.
Half-Blood Prince.
I hated the Half-Blood Prince as a book. When I saw the film, I'm like, wow, this actually makes sense. And really, as good as the cast is, as good as Daniel Radcliffe is as Harry Potter, props to Tom Felton. He actually made Draco Malfoy a three-dimensional character, and I applaud him for that.
I'm not sure I can continue the podcast. I think I gotta go.
Man, it was great having you tonight.
Yeah, because this is PG. I can't curse. All right, let me go.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
yeah.
Slacker.
All right.
No, I'm completely joking, but
again, you know, I mean, and that's and to kind of flip the script, put myself in your position, Matt. I'm a raging fan. I'm not the biggest fan of Alan Moore. I think Alan Moore needs to stay on his meds and really focus. That being said, I loved V for Vendetta. I loved V for Vendetta, which is why I sat out the film, because I knew for a fact there was no way the Wachowskis were going to be able to pull off V for Vendetta as a feature film. And then recently it came on and I said, I'm going to strap in and watch this. And maybe it was because of current events. I don't know, but the film resonated with me. And that's when I realized this is an adaptation. And it clicked. And I said, this was the best adaptation that they could do. And yeah, they strayed far away from the comic. But when you've got Hugo Weaving as V, when they did, and Natalie Portman finally allowed to act, I just was like, this is really good. And I do think that V for Vendetta is one of those films that it's going to age gracefully. It's going to be like a fine scotch. It's going to age better with time. And that's where that is where I as a writer and I as a fan try really hard to navigate those stormy seas, because you know, fan comes from the term fanatic, and it's and I think that when I see adaptations of other works, I have to remember this is someone else's adaptation. I'm a fan. If the writer is okay with it, then all right. You know what? Then at least it got made, and if it worked for you, great. It may not have worked for me, but I'm going to let that go. And I'll stay with the graphic novel, or I'll stay with the novel, or I'll stay with whatever. It's when fans come to me and they tell me, so you had this scene occur, and you know, I totally disagree with you. I just look at them and go, great, write your own damn novel. You know, I mean,
you do this.
Yeah, exactly. What were you thinking? Well, I'm the creator of the world, so this is my house, my rules. If you don't like it, there's the door. Thank you. Get out.
Just read the next book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. You know,
$14.99 on Amazon. Just so you know.
But
No.
but you know the
that that
oh,
I read
go ahead.
with that, and that was World War Z, absolute debacle when it comes to book to movie adaptation.
Yeah, I heard that.
That was
Right.
a train wreck because the audiobook being interview based was
Was
amazing.
Yep. And then
And
you have Ready Player One, and Ready Player One. If you never read the book and you just saw the movie, it was amazing.
Okay,
no,
Nate,
no,
Never
better
read the book.
brace yourself, Nate.
Okay.
God.
I hated Ready Player One as a book. Oh my god, I was spite reading it by the end. I was just like, I'm gonna finish this effing novel because I am too invested in it now. And when I ended, I was like, you got to be effing kidding me. Oh, I was mad. What a piece of
I
poo.
love the audiobook version of it, but the thing that lost me, I would have been on board for universally if they made the first encounter, I call it an encounter, the first key, the dungeon, where it had like the I can't remember what the guy was called, but it was essentially just like a skeleton king or whatnot. If they kept that and like kept true to the book, I would have been cool with it. But
And
since
I
they went
felt
with
like
the race,
and I felt like the book, the movie actually solved a lot of the problem. Not all, but a lot of the problems that the book had.
yeah, I'll agree with that. There was quite a bit going
But
on
oof,
that was definitely fixed in it. But I
the book is a point of contention between me and Nick. Nick adores Ready Player One, and I found it to be the most pretentious, most condescending piece of poo that I've ever read. And I'm just like, if I ever meet this author, I'm going to nut punch him as hard as I can. I was that upset about the book. I was that upset about
All
the
right,
book.
tell me how you really feel now.
yeah. Right before I cut
Now-
this edit,
Yeah. Now, if now I will give you a book absolutely fall in love with, and it wasn't as meta as Ready Player One, but it played around with that sort of meta that meta formula. It's a book called Red Shirts by John Scalzi, and I have never laughed so hard when I read a book. And basically, what it is, it's a crew of a typical starship, a crew of a starship,
okay.
and they realize halfway through the book, guys, we're in a TV show,
Yeah, I saw where
and
this was going.
it's and you think, okay, this is a trope, but the way they play it, they go, okay, so how do we get back in time to tell the writers of the TV show, hey, you're killing us all off, you got to stop. And they go, well, we're going to slingshot around the sun and go back in time. And the characters look at each other, they go, that's the most ridiculous thing we've ever heard. That's not the way physics works. And they're like, yeah, but it's what they do in the TV show, so we're going to do it. And of course they do it, and it works perfectly. And they're
It's
just
like Galaxy Quest.
yes, it is Galaxy Quest. It is Galaxy Quest ramped up to 11. And
love that.
and so if you dig Galaxy Quest, I highly recommend you read Red Shirts by John Scalzi. It is a blast to read.
There's two books that I want to jump on this bandwagon real quick before we move on. There are two books that I refer people to as much as possible, and one of my favorite books of all time, and it's going to sound kind of lame, but The Martian is.
No, that's a
I
great book.
love the narrative
That's a
and
great
everything.
book.
Right at the beginning, he's like, screwed,
I'm
and
so effed.
yeah, and it's like, okay, I'm into this, and I love his just commentary through the entire thing. Like, the Matt Damon movie kind of caught my interest. I'm like, this is a really neat, thing, and I'm like, okay, the book, I gotta get the book. I listen to audiobooks more. I read this one, but then I got the audiobook. Oh my god, I listen to it several times a year, and it's hilarious every single time I listen to it. And another one, this one is, I recommend to people that love just sitting around a table with your crudest friends that are just foul mouth drinking buddies that love playing D&D, and it's called Critical Failure by Robert Bevan. And this is some of the crudest writing I have ever heard, but it falls right into that realm of these are your bestest friends and they have no shame, you know what I mean? Because they all know each other that well. So it's so funny. And what this book is, they play D&D together, and they get a DM from like Craigslist, and they are rude to him and this and that, make him mad. Well, apparently he has magic dice that will send people into the D&D realm as their characters. And with their stats they go in with, and the one guy, Cooper, who's a half ogre or a half orc, made him mad at the beginning and got penalized on his charisma. So he's got like 2 intelligence, 0 charisma, and he's a half orc, so all he does is walk around and mess himself. He can't talk to people, and it's just like everything plays against him. But they can upgrade their stats, and dude, it's such a fun adventure. It's so crude, and there's another crude one that it's called. It follows a mimic. I love the D&D realm. I love that fantasy, and I love what they make. But Critical Failure is it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I gotta read that.
Yeah, dude, the audiobook is a full cast, and oh my god,
Especially being a DM.
there's 7 books now with it, and they have offshoot like little mini campaigns in between called like D6, D6
Okay.
9, D6 4, you know, and it's not the main book. It's something in between, just like their little adventures that they have, and it's like, oh my god, some of this stuff. When they went to go kill a vampire, I lost my mind, because these guys are not vampire hunters, and they're like, we need to do this. And somebody thought, I'll tell you guys this off stream, but it's very crude, but they thought they needed a person to make a stake, and they had like a master level like woodsmith to make it, and he had a sense of humor, and they're like, well, it seemed funny at the time, but now I kind of feel bad for you, but we don't have enough resources to make another one, so here you go. And I'll tell you later, but I'm getting off the tangent. I'm sorry. So sorry, everybody. Critical Failure. Great read.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally off the deep end right there. I don't even know how. Matt, save us. No.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a page out of Joe's book. We could sit here and talk about this all night.
Good. Yeah, we could.
But what's interesting is I know T, when we reached out, just to get an idea of maybe what tonight's mental health topic could be, what we could talk about. I know, especially given the world right now, just our own mental health during COVID-19, during isolation, during all of this kind of came up. And I think the one thing that I would like to tie in is to also how to find a therapist if needed during this whole crisis, because unfortunately that world has changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. The one thing to look at though is our mental health during isolation. A lot of us have and still are sort of quarantine or on some version of a lockdown. Whether you're in New York and you're on stage 4 or stage 3 or whatever it might be, our lives are not normal, unfortunately. And with that comes a lot of stress, comes a lot of anxiety. And I think the big one that I see a lot of people experiencing is actually depression. Dr. Goku says it best. We are social creatures. We need to be around others. We desire companionship and desire to, be able to hang out with one another.
Yeah.
It's just something that I don't know, I enjoy. But unfortunately, when that's taken away, you get some significant symptoms of depression. Just isolation in and of itself is a huge symptom of depression. When we don't go outside, when we kind of just stay sort of locked in, not wanting to face the world. that feeling of just kind of hopelessness. I know myself, even currently, I catch myself um, kind of just constantly looking at the news and uh, feeling hopeless, like this is not going to change, this is not going to get better. And what's somewhat comforting but also scary is to know I'm not alone in the way that a lot of people feel that way.
And I would agree.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think about how I wanted to frame this conversation, and I think the best way to frame it would be to almost to say to the audience as a source of assurance that if you're feeling this, it is 100% normal.
Absolutely.
And the other thing to remember is that your perspective, your if you are feeling like you're struggling with any level of depression, high or low, this is normal, and you're most assuredly not alone, and it is unique to you. I'm going to go on ahead and just give my own example.
Sure.
A year, more like a year ago June. A year ago June, I was, without a doubt, I was working what I thought was the world's greatest job, and I loved what I did. I was the chief of communications for a White House initiative started during the Obama administration. And I want to make sure that's clear. And it was one of the few initiatives that was not being shut down by the current administration because of because of its mission and what it was doing. And I loved this job. And I found out at truly the 11th hour that the contract was coming to an end for me, but no one had told me. I had been led on to believe that I was going to be continuing on with the project. And they were like, "Oh yeah, you're turning in your card on this date." And it completely blindsided me. So I was transferred from that project to another project. And within the first week, I knew I was in for a rough ride. So I went from having a position where my words, my words, my opinion, my design, was like, this is on point, T. And I went from that to a position where I was undermined, I was ignored, my voice did not count for 2 cents, and I was basically neutered. I went from creating strategy to just being told do your job and you're done. So I started job hunting, and it was just I kept hitting brick wall, and so I was basically going through a really, I mean, the way my wife described it, when I would come home from the previous job, I was energized. I had energy. I had creativity. I had a lot going for me. But she said when I got to the new job, I just looked like I had been ground down to the last point. I just looked physically drained. And I was trying to find an out, and I just kept getting rejection on rejection on rejection. And I was being told, yeah, we went with, I would be told we went with someone with better qualifications. Now, keep in mind, I'm applying for positions in social media, and the guy that wrote Podcasting for Dummies, Twitch for Dummies, and Discord for Dummies was being told we went with someone with better qualifications. And then I got laid off. Then COVID hit. As I like to tell people, I got laid off before it was cool, and
Right.
and then I got laid off, and and I'm going through that as well. and you suddenly begin to realize that there's a point where um you feel like you are constantly getting told you are not good enough. And it's not even the voice in your head, it's all the voices outside of you as well.
You heard it from a lot of, unfortunately, you heard it from a lot of different people.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and then to add to that, um in 1 week, because when someone, well, you always, and someone once said to me, T, well, you always have streaming because you love doing the streaming. And I'm like, yeah, but even that had sort of a double-edged sword to it.
Mm-hmm.
In 1 week, I got rated by Markiplier from YouTube, and then I got rated by Gigs in 1 week. And at one point, I had numbers I would never have dreamed about.
Especially somebody
And
like Markiplier.
yeah,
Love him.
and yeah, and it was, don't get me wrong, it was a great experience.
Of course.
But then you watch those numbers, and I had to mentally tell myself these numbers are not going to stay this way.
Mm.
If I'm lucky, I will retain half of these numbers. If I'm really lucky, the numbers will stay consistent. But if I'm really lucky, I'll be above this particular line. And I watched the numbers go down, and then they dipped underneath that line. And I'm like, okay, I'm back at square one. And
It was a roller coaster ride.
it's
Mhm.
a 2019. That was when the roller coaster started for me.
Yeah.
And then comes 2020. And it reached a point where I was really trying to hold it together. But I had to have but I also tried very hard. And Joe and Nate both know this, because there was this one guy that was in Guardians MH in our Discord, who was really taking me to task one day when I was trying to help him out. And I remember Nate reached out to me at one point and said, "Are you okay?" Because I know that individual can burn through a lot of people. And I said, "I'm fine." Because the way I looked at it is, yes, is that everybody has a perspective on their depression. It doesn't negate it. It doesn't negate what I feel. It doesn't negate what they feel. Everybody has a perspective. It is something that you have to recognize. Just because someone's depression is more intense than mine doesn't negate mine, doesn't negate theirs. You just have
Not
to
at all.
understand it's coming from two different perspectives. And the fact that you are recognizing that you're struggling with it, it's actually stronger than you realize.
No, absolutely. Depression is like snowflakes. Not one is identical,
Mhm.
right? We're all have our own issues. We have our own versions of depression. Depression is not always sad. Depression is angry. Depression is frustrated. Depression is anger.
And sometimes it's all of the above.
And yeah, sometimes it's everything in one
Yeah.
day. And it's, you're right. Recognizing it is absolutely the first step. It's the first part, right? And in regards to everything with COVID, and I think similar to what you were saying, T, all of this stuff happened in 2019. You were on the greatest roller coaster for months, just every fun loop de loop you can think of.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then all of a sudden you stop. The ride stops and you have to get off. This is going to be the weirdest analogy ever, but just bear with me. If anybody has ever watched the show Entourage, there is a scene. I know, I'm sorry.
No,
it was
no.
It was like my wannabe frat boy days. Anyway, there's a scene where they go on this roller coaster, and I forget his name, but like the main actor actually says, when we had to do that take over and over again to get the right take, and once he got off the roller coaster, he actually started to cry, because you're getting all of these endorphins as you're going through this roller coaster and you feel great. Then all of a sudden, when everything stops, your body's not getting that anymore. So you cry, you feel depressed, you feel sad. And that's why I said it before, like the roller coaster analogy.
See,
And
for me, the roller coaster analogy was more. It wasn't even that the roller coaster came to an end. The roller coaster got stuck
yeah,
in the
yeah,
middle, and you couldn't move
yeah,
either way. Um, and I love roller coasters. Don't get me wrong. I love me a good roller coaster.
me too.
And you're right. There is that thrill, there's also that mindset to me. It actually came from, and I felt like I got affirmation from it when I was writing Twitch for Dummies. I got a chance to interview Dr. Lupo for the book, and Dr. Lupo could not have been a nicer gentleman. He was just one of the best people I've ever met in this community. And I remember he said something to me that really stuck with me, because I had not heard any other streamer that when I talked to, when I asked a whole bunch of streamers, I asked Snaps, I asked Lulu, I asked ZG Photo, all these different people, what is the one bit of advice you would give new streamers? And they would always give me, they always gave me some really positive affirmation. Lupo gave me something that I'm surprised nobody else came up with. And when it came from him, I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. He basically said, don't take what's happening so seriously. And he said, I got really lucky, and I know this could end any day. And I see so many streamers struggle with that, because they and that's when I think that's the difference between someone at Lupo's level versus some of these other streamers, because they're ramming their heads into the wall, and Lupo's looking at this like it's a business. This is show business.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming is an arm of show business, and you can be at the top of your game one day, and then years down the road you're speaking at the RNC. You've got to
Right.
you've got to understand that this roller coaster of fame may not last. And where I'm going with this is that, yeah, I keep that in perspective. So for streaming, I totally get that, but it's when that feeling of frustration, that feeling of depression starts to magnify when other aspects of your life, whether it's your writing, whether it's your day job, whether it's even from a physical perspective, like I couldn't run. I used to run on a regular basis. I used to be I used to go on 5Ks, and even I even pushed myself and did a half marathon. And I hadn't been able to do that. I have not been able to do that for years. And all that was really starting to pile on. And with COVID, it just became even more
Right.
And I've been seeing people on streams, I've been seeing people in my life just really struggle with this, and I'm sitting there going, look, you got to understand, this is totally normal.
Yes.
It is not a sign of weakness that you feel like you're cracking under the pressure. We are all under the pressure. I think a lot of the outbursts that you see people going into, it's got nothing to do with feeling oppressed. It's got nothing to do with my rights are being violated. No, what it is, with the exception of those times when, yes, your rights are being violated, hashtag Black Lives Matter, I'm fully on board with that. But I'm talking about when people won't wear masks.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, it's because they feel helpless.
Yes.
And I get it. You feel helpless, but you know what? Wear your freaking mask. I know you're not being oppressed. You're being inconvenienced. There's a difference. But
Right.
the feeling of helplessness, that is normal. And managing that is so hard, and it is exhausting. And you lose sleep over it. I did not get the best night's sleep last night. So the fact that I'm on my fourth stream and I'm running on fumes, but at the same time, how do you get up in the morning? And I tell people the same thing. I go, I get up in the morning, and I'm able to get up in the morning every morning because to me, every morning, every day is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to right whatever is wrong in my life. And if I were to do something to hurt myself, if I were to do something to bring that to an end, I will never get that opportunity again. Which is why, if you ever feel that way, one, it's okay to get a therapist. It's okay to want to talk to somebody. And two, yes, the world is a better place with you in it, because you will not get a second chance if you decide you can't or won't be able to fix something.
Yeah. The if the best, sometimes people, the biggest thing I hear is that all I did was wake up today. That's great. I've told people that's great. I want to hear that. I want to hear at least the one good thing that you've done. And if really, if all that it is, and I'm sure, because I've said this once before, but being from New York, I fight clients tooth and nail that you can come up with one more. Come on, let's go. Come on, give me more. But if really all you can tell me is that you woke up, absolutely. That goes on the list of positive things that we did today.
Yep. Sometimes they don't view it as a positive, though. They'll say you'll ask them, like when you're doing a session with somebody, you'll ask, what's a positive thing you did today? I didn't do anything today. Well, you had to have done something today. Did you eat anything? Yeah, I made a sandwich. How was that sandwich? It was a sandwich. You fed yourself. That's good. You got up today. You got dressed. You made coffee. Just a basic action is a positive. You did something. Yep. I've seen friends, close friends, that battled depression so much that they lock up, and
the shutdown.
Will spend 48 hours in a bed staring at a wall. Married, family, all that. And it takes a great motivation to get them going again. And sometimes it's intervention with close friends, me, other friends, or their professional, maybe their medicine's unbalanced. But I'll usually get a text from his spouse going, he's pretty bad in the last couple of days. You mind talking to him? Won't answer the phone, won't answer a text. But if I show up there and go into the bedroom, sit on the bed, no emotion, but put your feet on the floor. Get your feet on the floor. Yeah. What's that going to do? It's going to get your feet on the floor. That's the first step.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one positive. You get 1 foot on the floor, then you got 2. Then you can take care of that nasty ass bottle of something liquid right there and, go clean yourself up. No. Side tangent.
No, yeah.
Say something about curling your toes into the carpet.
You know what? That feeling, that sensory, getting that sensory. Feel the carpet in between your toes. A lot of people don't realize how powerful sensory can be.
It's one of the reasons why I really believe I'm more of a cat guy than a dog guy.
Don't tell Matt that.
Because
where are my cats? Where are my 4 cats?
Where are my babies?
Because
look at my fat boy. Anyway,
no, my cats, they know. They all know when I'm not there, when I'm really struggling, because my cat will come up to me, give me those big eyes, will go, "Hey, fodder, we need some cuddle time," and he gets up and he leans in. I mean, he's 17 pounds of Siberian, and he will rock my body, and he will get as close as he can. And I feel a haru, haru, haru. And I'm like, okay, buddy, you're with me. And I would even basic communication when you're at that point. If you're able to say somebody, I'm having a rough go, to me, that's an accomplishment. That is
100%.
That is the first step. It was something that destroyed my first marriage, was lack of communication.
Mm.
And when Pip and I got married, I told her, I said, if I ask it if anything from you, it's communication. If you're having a bad day, I need to know. I definitely need to know.
Yeah.
And there have been days where my wife will come down and she'll go, I'm having a rough one today. I said, me too. So let's coast. Let's take it easy today. Let's do something else. Um, but I also found that, you also you also can find just some of the joys in some of the simplest little things. Um, you heard me talking about the cookbooks. During COVID-19, being able to just try different food and just being able to just cook and just say, this could suck. And you sit down and everybody's like, my God, this is great. The, there's a joy in being able to create something that not only makes you feel good, but makes people around you feel good.
And
And
it's it's that connection. It's
yeah,
that,
it goes back
it's
to what you were talking about earlier, Matt, with the social connection. And that's
yes.
very hard to do. And it's even tougher to do. But that's what and that's something I tell people on my stream. I go, look, this is a place for you to connect.
Hmm.
Whether it's connected with me, whether it's connected with people in the stream, I want people here to connect. I remember it was something that Kevin over at K Magic 101 said. He said, "So long as the ISPs keep it together, we will keep it together as a society."
Yeah. No, it's
And
very true. I
and
mean,
it's true.
think about it. Once COVID hit, the biggest things that happened, Discord became 2000% more popular.
Yep. Yep.
Zoom came out of the woodwork and became
Yep.
the greatest thing known to man. And because it's just that inherent need to keep in contact and to
Right.
keep in communication.
Right.
To switch this over just a little bit, you mentioned that it is okay to see a therapist, and absolutely. I'll add, I said this on the GCX panel, I'll say it here. It is okay to be depressed. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be all that. It's not okay to not take care of it, though,
Right.
because that's when it gets worse, right? If you were a little bit anxious before COVID hit, unfortunately, it's has the potential to be exacerbated.
Yeah.
It's your symptoms are going to be a little bit more increased because, and I'm going to quote Dr. Goku again, we are going through a collective trauma. And he's 100% right. So any symptoms that you may have had before, you're going to feel them a lot more. You're going to feel them a lot more now. And so that's when it is time to seek out some help, to seek out some support. If your symptoms are getting worse and worse, if you feel that isolation, if you can't get out of bed, if, one of the things I said too, if you kind of catch yourself, you know, drinking more than maybe you were before, things like that, especially during an isolation, you're unfortunately in New York, liquor stores were still open, almost like it was being advertised, but that's my substance abuse background coming in, so I apologize. But it's
Lotto's
time
huge.
to, yeah, it's time to start to look. And now, unfortunately, psychotherapy and therapy, it's all through this. It's all through Zoom, what we're using now. Is it ideal? No. But it's still needed, and it's still important to take care of yourself. If you're searching for someone, see if they're doing Zoom calls, see how long they're doing the phone calls for.
Yes.
um Make sure they take your insurance, and make sure your insurance allows for telehealth or
Yes, very much.
telecommunications. You have to make sure that they allow for that. um don't be It's already scary enough to sit in a room and talk to a stranger. It's, in my opinion, this is opinion, it's worse when you have to do it over a computer, because once again, there's no communication. There's that lack of some social cues as well, because you're going through a camera now. You're not seeing somebody physically. My advice, it's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, and kind of to touch on something we talked about on our last episode with the geek therapy, like
Mm.
you can make a connection with someone in person, but when you're distanced by, you know, the internet and you're not in the same room with someone, like you said something on our last show that, you know, at the end of every session you have, any intake you have, it's like, you know, if I'm not the guy for you,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's fine. We'll find you someone else.
Right.
It's a little bit harder in
Yeah.
environment, but I will say, kind of give your therapist a break because they're navigating this as well. I actually had this discussion with my therapist on a regular basis,
Mm.
where she just wants to reach out and, you know, I would love to be able to come over and just tap you on the shoulder, or pat you on the shoulder, and comfort you, or hand you a tissue when you're crying your eyes out. And she goes, I can't, and that hurts us as much as it hurts you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's a
So
whole new dynamic that even the professionals are going, oh, like, we don't know really how to handle this.
so that would be something I would ask all of you guys. Um, what do you look for in a therapist? Do you
Ooh.
look for someone that is going to basically give you the answer that you're looking for, or are you, you know, or do you try to find a therapist that may tell you something you find is no one else will tell you, or do you try to find a happy medium? What do you look for in a therapist?
I'm gonna answer that as somebody who searches for a therapist, but also as someone who is a therapist. Searching, it really does go by what do you, and this is where you kind of have to look inside of you and see what's going to help you. So I say that that's weird. I'll explain that. Um, Me personally, I need someone to, I need someone to yell at me and tell me like you need to stop. Like you need your brain. You got to give yourself some slack. Realistically, I don't. I me personally, I can't have the therapist who will, sit there and kind of let's go through your feelings. And not that there's anything wrong with that, because I do that as a therapist. I I need the one who's gonna verbally slap me and be like, hold on, take a breath, and really just take a look at the facts here before you start spiraling. That's what I need. But every person, similar to how we said depression is snowflakes, everyone is different. Everybody needs a different therapist. And as a therapist answering this question, there's twofold. One, I'm not going to give you any answers. That's not, as a therapist, that's not really what I do. It's sort of, we're going to work together to discuss what's going on. I will give you tools, I will give you resources, I will give you everything I have in my toolbox. It's kind of up to you to use that. You know, I tell everybody I see you for 45 minutes or an hour once a week. You've got the rest of the week. You got the rest of that time. What you do is kind of on your own. You know, we're going to work on these things. I'm going to give you the tools to help you achieve the goal that you came in here for. Right. So I have a client that's coming in for significant anxiety, significant, panic attacks, things like that. So we're going to go over reality testing. We're going to go over self talk and self affirmations. We're going to go over deep breathing and meditations to help in the moment. We're going to go over, and I'm making this up, but this is what I tell clients. We're going to go over acute meditation, how to do 10-second meditation to kind of bring yourself back before the panic attack kicks in. I'm going to give you all those tools. It's up to you to use them. I tell clients I'm what we call a realist, even in a therapy sense. I can't follow you home. And I've said to client, as much as I would love to, because I do think you need it, I can't follow you home. So you got to take what I'm giving you and use it. And that's where that therapeutic relationship comes in,
Right.
right? That's where, you don't, the things that I'm saying, you don't say that in the first session. I'd
Right.
have no clients.
Well, yeah,
I'd have no clients. I wouldn't be doing well. You say this as you kind of continue and build up that connection. If I got a 12 or 13-year-old in front of me and no teenager wants to come to therapy, let's just face facts here. They're either mom dated, as I like to call it, or I shouldn't say that. I've had some teenagers that come in because they need to, but all we're going to talk about that first session, what happened, what brought you here, what do you like? What can we talk about? How do I get you to like trust me? And I've had conversations about Fortnite. I've had conversations about TikTok. I've had conversations about all the things that I shouldn't know at my age, but I do.
Hey.
So I missed that, Nate.
I said at your age, really?
All right, I'm 29, but cut me some slack. I still shouldn't be watching
for
TikTok.
frig's sake.
Really?
29. Little young whippersnapper over there.
I'll be 30. I'll be 30 in September. Does that help?
Oh, cry me an effing river. Cry me an effing river.
All right, I just lost everybody. That was it. Nobody believes a word I'm saying right now.
I gotta tell you, see, now you've opened up a different can of worms there, Matt.
Nothing.
I totally giggle when I listen to some of the folks on Twitch go, oh my God, I'm so old. I'm going to be 29 next year. And I'm just like, really? Really? When I wrote the first edition of Podcasting for Dummies, you were still sniffing glue in elementary school. You need to be quiet and you just need to just enjoy the freaking ride there.
That Elmer school glue was something else.
I was just going to say, was I the only one that
I
thought
was a rubber cement kid. Let me tell you something. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, Nate relates
boy.
to that one.
Oh, he's dying. Look at him. Oh, boy.
But that was a very long-winded statement.
No. That's a legit statement. Because
I also like to go ahead.
No. You're good.
Well, I love Matt touched on too. I like to look at the different like forms of therapy that each professional does too, because if somebody is suffering from something specific, not every professional is equipped to give the best support to that person.
You're right.
For what they're dealing with. And then you get into I'm going to use the roller coaster of referrals. You're going to go from this one to that one to that one. But the first professional you see, whether it be a licensed social worker, a counselor, a psychologist, therapist, whatever, the first one doesn't have to be the only one.
Right.
Yep.
Treat it like you're getting the best price to having a contractor do some work at your house. You're not going to get you're not going to get one and done. You're going to get an estimate by 2 or 3 different ones. You're going to have them come in and you're going to see who does the best work, who has the best quality, best times, and how they interact with you the best. Right. Is there a connection? Is there that rapport right at the beginning? Like Matt said, he tries to relate with somebody. He tries to build that rapport right at the beginning. If I go to see a therapist, the first one, and he barely looks at me and just is like talking to me, or at me, and I don't feel a connection, I'm not going to open up to this person. And they're already planning for me to come in again to continue a session. And it's like, well, we barely talked about anything. But if I go and see the next professional have a first meeting, which they're usually, they're not always free, but they're usually kind of discounted down just because it's a first meeting. If I go to the next one and I walk in and I see anything game related, so is that Final Fantasy? Oh yeah. Oh, I remember I had the black cartridge back at the PlayStation. I used to. Oh, did you? Oh, I had that too. Right there. we have a win right
Yeah.
off the bat
Yeah.
because it bridged that connection between us. And that's one thing that I really encourage people to look for is that connection between you. And
100%.
it's not a one and done. Treat
Yeah.
it like an estimate. Go
Say
to
go with it, right? You walk in, you do your intake, you sit down, you have probably about 30 minutes after your intake and everything to kind of feel it out. And that's what they're doing as well.
Yeah. A good therapist will say, you know, I respect you coming in, there is definitely something here that needs to be worked on, but maybe I'm not the right one. Let's find you someone. I can safely say there are populations in this world that I cannot work with. One, because I maybe have difficulty with that population. I'm not trained in a specific therapy that I know
right. Yep.
works with that population. But it is my responsibility as a therapist, as a social worker, to find that person for you. I will never be like, hey, can't help you. Have a good day.
Yeah.
It's I can't help you, but let me look through my Rolodex. let me look through let me
Exactly.
look through my phone and let me see who of my colleagues, who I've worked with that can help you. And you know what? Jessica down the block runs a great DBT group. I think you'd work well with her. Let's set that up. Because I might be the first mental health professional that somebody has seen. I do not want to be the reason that they don't come back to therapy. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not for you, trust me, my feelings are not going to get hurt. I've heard worse things said about me in my life.
Well, I mean, we even have it in the server. Like, I'm the 45-year-old old man in the group, and we've got a bunch of 18 and under. I don't relate to them the same way that someone that's in their 20s.
Right.
So I'm not offended by it,
It is what it is.
but it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So the bottom line is a couple of things. If you need it, and if the things that are going on that are getting worse, if your symptoms are getting worse, please seek out some type of support. Find a therapist that works with you, not against you, not, find somebody who will work with you to get you to the goals that you want.
Mhm.
And above all else, find somebody that fits. And this is the one time where I'll say, therapist shopping could be okay because you need to find the right one that works for you. Telehealth maybe kind of stinks, but in the long run, the investment that you make into your own mental health is worth every penny. That's coming from a therapist, but also somebody that is in therapy frequently. And I mean that in the greatest way possible.
Yeah.
It's an investment. It takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are you.
Boom. I love it. And you know what we're going to do now? We're going to talk about some gaming.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have some gaming news, and the first one on the list, I actually have no idea what you were talking about because you put it in
Okay.
in the
Just so
Is that me?
we're clear, Nate was getting ready to populate our show notes with gaming news, and we were chatting a little bit early before we started. Everybody started getting into the call, and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna put," and he goes, "And Matt's already adding stuff to it," and it was
I'm
like,
sorry.
"Oh, we'll see what's going on. Let's, you know what? It's a group effort, yeah."
So no, I'm sorry. I don't know. I just thought it was cool. Fortnite and Marvel kind of teamed up again. We got some Marvel characters again in the Fortnite universe. They're doing the Nexus Wars, I believe it's called.
Yep.
Um,
Galactus.
Yeah, I know Fortnite was never my game, but to kind of see Wolverine in Fortnite, I'm like, all right, maybe I'll jump back in a little bit. I don't know. I just thought it was cool, and I noticed a lot of people now are getting, like, people that stopped playing Fortnite were getting back into it. They sort of are saying that the game feels like it did when it first came out, like season 2, season 3. So I don't know, just Fortnite's massive to begin with, but even some older players are coming back in.
Right. And it's interesting that they would drop this right after they had this, the big to do with Apple and
Mm-hmm.
that whole nonsense.
Absolutely. um, I don't know, just something cool for in regards to, like, the Fortnite universe. Oh, hi. How are you?
Who are these old men waving at
Yeah.
me?
She sees us every 2 weeks.
That's true.
There's the derail.
It's all good.
Hi, baby.
That's an adorable derail, though. Like,
That's a fantastic deal. I'll live
absolutely.
for those derails.
On the speaker she can hear.
Hi, baby.
Hi.
Heidi.
Brooks, say hi to Joe, Matt, and T.
Hi.
Hi.
Bah.
There we go.
Okay. Are you ready to go to bed, honey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if that's not some quality
one of the
Twitch content, I don't know what is.
That's one of the first things my daughter does. When she plays games with me, she'll come back here on the weekends and we'll play games in the morning while I drink a cup of coffee. She will look at this monitor because she expects me to pull up Zoom and turn the camera on full screen so she can make faces and look at herself, and she gets the mic and she watches YouTube. And it's usually like the family YouTube like videos. This is a small derail. She always looks at it, grabs the mic and goes, "Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe."
That's great.
Every time. You know what? I'll have her do it tomorrow, and I will record it and send it to all of you just so you can see her do it.
Yes.
It's adorable. But I looked at my wife, and I'm like, where did she get that from? She goes, she watches YouTube. Where do you think she got it from?
Yeah, for real.
They say it on every video almost, and she watches like family ones. Oh gosh, I can't think of a name of one. One's a famous skateboarder. Him and his daughter do YouTube videos, and it's like
That's great.
they'll do art, they'll do this, that, just it's fun, She got into the older daughter was watching Five Nights on Freddy stuff on her tablet. So when she pulled it up, it was in her like feed. So our 4-year-old like hit a Five Nights at Freddy. I go, "What are you watching?" Because it was kind of loud, and I was just like, "Yoink!" Like, let me see that.
Not yet.
Here you go. You can have it back now. But no, we'll cut this.
That was it for the Fortnite. I just thought it was cool.
Now,
I'm a Marvel fanboy.
Do you think this is some foreshadowing? You mentioned that Wolverine was in the trailer, and I did see it too. Do you think it's some foreshadowing that this is Marvel incorporating the X-Men universe into future stuff? Like, this is kind of getting people in that mindset to, you're going to start seeing Wolverine and Storm with the Avengers and such characters?
The fanboy in me hopes so.
Because you have to admit,
please.
you have to admit, one of the, if not the first character, they're going to have bridge those two universes is going to be Wolverine. Yeah. Hands down, the most popular character.
Yes.
And
this is Fortnite. Like, I have to expect them, next week. They're like, okay, Marvel, we dropped this, so this week we're going to drop the Tom Nook skin.
The what?
Tom Nook?
From Tom Nook from Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Yes. Probably that's got to be one of the next skins for Fortnite. I'm just pausing for.
Get kicked out of this call.
I'm waiting to get booted.
You bastard.
We try.
You know what? Every episode since February. Teep, this is an ongoing thing, man. These guys cannot go an episode without mentioning something about Animal Crossing. And one episode about 4, they worked it in so well, I actually cussed. Like, it was like they got me good, and it's been a running joke, and man, I love it. Love
Well,
it.
the episode with Snaps, I made it clinical, so there was no way
You did, too.
You could yell at me.
Oh God, it was so good. It was so good. I just bit my tongue. You know what? I didn't mind it then because it was worked right in there. This one. You know what? I'm gonna die if they do introduce an Animal Crossing skin, or if Fall Guys introduces one.
Nate's still the best with these.
He is.
really is.
He is good with them. But
Fall Guys, I actually see that happening in Fall Guys. Have you seen the crossover, the Destiny Fall Guys crossovers?
I've seen
Yes.
Young Khan doing them. They're freaking awesome, actually. He did a Cabal strike boss.
Yeah, the Callus.
No. Valis whatever.
Doesn't like people under the
He
stairs.
doesn't like people under the stairs. I read that and I almost messaged him like, that was gold right there. And you know what? He made it so relatable. I absolutely adored that one at that point just for that comment alone. That was the go-to hangout on that strike, especially for Nightfall. You get into the boss room, you go under the stairs. Or if you were really good at platforming, you went on top of like the chandelier thing. Way up on the top. Total derail. Apologies.
All good.
What else we got?
We have a PS5 possible launch date of 11/13.
Seems a little early.
That seems a lot early.
Can we get
I
a
mean-
fact check on that?
So
I would- Love to get a fact. I would love to get a price check on that.
that's what I really want too.
It doesn't matter when it's releasing. How much is it going to cost? Because for me, it might be releasing next November, as in 2021, depending on.
I
what
have
that
to wait
thing's
until
gonna cost.
I have to wait until I land a full-time gig, and then I can even think about New Light. So yeah, or not New Light, Beyond Light. So
Really?
So yeah,
the resume.
radar report that that suggests that November 13th is the suggested launch date. A launch date for the PS5.
What they're saying is, so like reading, it's a little bit of a clickbaity title.
bit.
They're saying that there's going to be a significant marketing
Did we just become best friends?
on Friday, November 13th, which might indicate the date of the console release. That does seem early, but I guess, I mean, it does and it doesn't. I mean, they're going to try to get it out, for holidays, especially the whole Black Friday thing. They're going to try to sell as many as they can, but it does depend on the price.
I mean, if you consider historically, the next gen consoles would have released their prices now, like now to September, and now we're looking at prospective dates of of November. It's interesting, and we're still playing that chicken game between Xbox and Sony. Who's gonna I always say Xbox and Sony, Microsoft and Sony. Who's going to budge on price first?
I don't think either of them. I
They're
think
playing
it's pretty
chicken.
much set.
Big time.
Absolutely.
And I mean, and realistically, the only people that win is the consumer.
True.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
We'll see.
but speaking of Xbox, and we've all heard about the whole debacle with Halo getting delayed, and like a lot of people are depressed about that. But there's a little bit of good news that came out with 343 apparently hired the former story writer from back in the Bungie Halo days. Joseph Staten is now the project lead, and if just a quick look at his accolades is obviously Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3 ODST. He did some early work on Destiny. State of Decay, Crackdown, Recore. So the guy's got a pretty good pedigree, and he's from the old school Halo days. That's kind of exciting. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna delay the game and you want to get it right, bring in one of the original creative directors from the Bungie days. Like that's the one thing that I'm biased. That when 343 took it over, the story kind of went. They didn't know what to do with what Bungie gave them, and they just winged it, and it went all sorts of cattywampus. So bring in someone back in from the old guard. That gives me hope that Halo Infinite is actually going to be something compelling.
Come on.
You lost me with Cattywampus. I'm not gonna lie. I love it.
What's up?
You know context.
I do. No.
I had to use a word that was that wouldn't get us, an R rating.
So it was Cattywampus. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
All the were thrown to the wind.
I hear you.
Well, Halo's trying to go back to their kind of roots and everything, and expand on the original universe and their ideas, and we'll see where they go with it. I mean, unfortunately, with everything going on, what did you see?
I'm sorry.
What'd
That
you
was
see? Huh? What'd you see?
Nothing.
Better not
Nothing.
be Animal Crossing on sale or anything. Come on.
No. No, never. That game is going to remain $60 for all eternity.
Well, you know what? Good for them.
Uh-oh.
I love when they bring in a people that know the.
Midnight to lose the...
Oh, I hope not.
No. Or is it me? Am I frozen?
I think you're just frozen. Hey, Miss Lupo, how we doing? But good for them for bringing on some of the old school developers and team members and everything to try and bring that back. I mean, who knows that universe and franchise better than the people that help.
Okay.
What happened? Joe, you still with us?
Everyone who's not frozen, raise their hand.
There's a delay on it, right?
Not for us.
Oh. No, it was Matt. It was all Matt.
It actually was all my fault.
You know what? You need to just get off that McDonald's Wi-Fi. I know it's really hard because it's free, but
Here it comes.
burn.
Here it comes.
Nothing but love. Nothing but love. But no, you know what? I think that's it for tonight. But we do have some great things that we do want to talk about before we let everybody go. Matt, you want to take it from here?
Absolutely. So, as everybody hopefully knows by now, we are creating fantastic mental health kits that we want to give out to those who request for free. And in order to keep that venture going, we are asking for donations of any size or stature to help keep these kits not only free, but allow us the ability to continue making them and to ship them to everyone at no cost to those who request. We have had several donations these past few days, and there's a few that I want to shout out. So I think in the chat we're gonna link the link tree, which has the various ways that you can donate, including Ko-Fi, Patreon, Tiltify, I believe we're also working with. So we have many different ways that you can donate. So I want to shout out 4 people who supported us from Ko-Fi. The Focus Fire chat team, Justin. Can we say last names?
No.
Okay, Justin. Thank you. Nerd Girl, and Twinkie Punk.
And also
Fantastic.
Blue.
And also Blue. Thank you.
Yep.
Love you guys for donating through Ko-Fi. We greatly appreciate it. We also have two who are now on our Patreon. One by the name of EXO, subscribing to our All Access, as well as Nate S.
Not me. Not me.
Subscribing to our Guardian Advocate subscription tier. So thank you all.
Yes.
Thank you, anyone who has donated. We want to say a sincere thank you. I also want to shout out the esports community group known as Harsh Reality. They made a donation to our cause as well, and we appreciate that greatly. We got a chance to speak with them. Um, they're a great group, and they supported us immensely. So, thank you to everybody. Those who are subscribed to our Patreon, we will be in touch with you soon to kind of talk about some of the rewards. Did I miss anything? I think
No, you nailed it.
think-
But it's
kits are coming out. The second wave will be made by yours truly and my lovely wife Amanda. So get ready for the second wave to be built soon.
Yep.
I'll probably take some pictures. We'll throw it up on Twitter. It'll be a good time.
Yeah. If you want to look more into them, go to our website, use that link tree, go to our website, and you'll see a dedicated page just for mental health kits. And these kits, we saw a need for them a while back, and especially with COVID and things going on right now, we felt that this was very much needed. And looking at subscription boxes, they cost a lot of money. And one thing we always kept at heart is when we got our 501c3 nonprofit status and have been growing as a nonprofit and a mental health organization, it's always been about other people, helping people, not making money. So everything that comes in goes out to creating programs. And one of those programs is mental health kits. And these mental health kits, people are getting them now. You'll see them on Twitter. They're no cost. They're free. If you want to request one, go right to the website. Request one. They will come to you within a week or two, depending on how fast we can get them out. We are making these by hand. We do not have a fulfillment center. So one of our team members is going to put this together themselves, and it's going to show that much more care and love goes into this. And there's a lot of meaning behind it, but there's a lot of meaningful resources that are curated by our clinical director, our mental health professional team, our staff members, and other people that are working with us to curate new items and resources to go into these. Every wave, we will cycle new resources into the boxes, new items, sensory items into the boxes, and they're just fantastic to have. So when we're at conventions too, when we start seeing live events, we're going to be handing these out at our booths as well. But until then, our way to pay it forward with COVID and everything going on and the lack of live events, we're going above and beyond, and we will ship this to you. If you are within the continental United States, it's a little bit difficult right now. We're looking for ways to make it more efficient and affordable to ship internationally. But as we look into that, still, please put a request in. We'll do everything in our power to get you one internationally. And one of the great things is a lot of the artists from the gaming community, a lot of the Destiny artists and everything have been working with us to help create, and this is in every single box, and it's a custom mindfulness coloring book. And they are absolutely fantastic. And
wow.
We have a nice shout out to all the artists and everybody on the back. They are fantastic. They are free. If you would like a coloring book, order a kit. Request one. They're in every single one. And that is just showing how much community and just togetherness that people have come together to help create these and put these together. And
this has really been a passion project of ours, our group, for the past 3 months, trying to organize and get this all together. And
it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, to see it go out and to the responses we've gotten through social media and direct message has just like it's made it all worth it. Like you have an idea and you think you're doing it right, and then suddenly you get the response back and you go, we did good. Like I'm so proud of everyone on our team. I'm so proud of everyone that's contributed to this. Like this has been amazing.
Yep, and that's all we can hope for. So definitely thank you everybody that has helped us. I see somebody is having a problem with the Tiltify.
Yeah, Mrs. Dr. Lupo just
Yeah.
tried to help us out there. We will look into it. Thank you for. I'm glad we got this out of the way now, right?
I'm looking into it right this second. But transaction is invalid. Interesting. Return to the recipient's website and try again. This looks like a PayPal issue for some reason. Interesting. No, thank you for bringing that to our attention. I will definitely look into this.
Thank you.
But that's it. That's us for the night. T, thank you so much for coming on with us. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find your books, find your streams, your content, your awesome Twitter and socials. Everything.
Glad you mentioned that. Glad you mentioned that because I just got on Linktree myself. So if you go to, if you either go to TeeMorris.com, that's TeeMorris.com, or if you go to my Instagram, which you can reach through TeeMorris.com, and you go to Linktree there, you will find every freaking place. I'm a latecomer to Linktree. It's my new favorite thing, and you can find everything there. You can also find Twitch for Dummies, Discord for Dummies, and Podcasting for Dummies at any bookstore. But if you order, if you go to teammorris.com and you go to the shop and you order the, currently it is sold out. But once I restock it, I'm selling something called the Content Creators Bundle. If you buy all three, if you buy Podcasting for Dummies, Twitch for Dummies, and Discord for Dummies, not only through my website do you get a 20% discount, but you will also get all three autographed. So that's just a little something there. That's called the Content Creators Bundle. Like I said, currently it's sold out, but if you keep an eye on it, the minute it restocks, 20% off discount. Otherwise, you can get my books just about anywhere. And if you're a writer and you, it doesn't matter what you're writing, if you're in need of a social media strategy, the book is Social Media for Writers, 2nd edition, written by myself and my wife, Pip Valentine. And that is also available on Amazon. The print edition should be coming in about 2 weeks. And thank you very much, guys. This has been a great experience. Anytime you guys want me to come back, just let me know. And Matt, don't look now, but there's somebody behind you. In fact, there are several people behind you.
That is my group of friends trying to stealthily sneak out.
The calls. Matt, we've traced the calls. The calls are coming from inside the house.
I'm not your friend.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in with us. I think that's our cue right there to wrap things up.
T, thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
this was
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
And we will catch you all next time. That's it. We'll catch you next time. No big long exit, nothing like that. We're going. We're out.
We're done. We're finished.
See y'all later.
Yeah, I see that Pip is still playing.
Yeah, so I'm going to go and see if I can't pry the controller out of her hands. It's Ghost of Tsushima.
Does anyone mind we raid the TeeMonster?
Ooh.